All the roads are winding. Welcome to the show, Emily. I'm so excited to have you back and to dive into more psychic herbalism and clairvoyance and all kinds of magic with you. So, welcome back.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Really excited. So thank you for having me, Natalie. Yeah.
Totally. Before we get started, would you like to set the space for us today?
I would love to. Yeah. So, yeah, I'll get started. You can start by closing your eyes and just settling into the space and perhaps setting the intention that you're going to create time away from distraction energy for yourself so that you can be present and listening and growing. And we'll create a grounding cord. So this is a pathway for you to release energy that doesn't belong in your body, foreign energy that goes from your root chakra at the base of your spine. So it's just a spinning wheel down at the base of your spine. And you can have a connection that goes from there all the way to the center of the planet. And you can imagine that your grounding cord is something fun for you. It can look any way. It's just an affinity with you in present time so that you can release energy. And you can now imagine that all that foreign stuff, you can let it appear as sand. I like using sand because it's just super easy. And let the foreign stuff in your body, foreign stuff in the space around your body, your aura, just start to fall down your grounding. If you need to make your grounding cord wider to hold everything that's releasing, you can imagine it becomes a little wider. And just experience that ease and release. Let it be lovely, simple. We don't have to figure out everything we're letting go of. Sometimes it lets go more easily if we don't figure it out. And so I want to invite also a plant spirit connection. So maybe you'll know what this plant looks like, maybe you won't. Either way is okay. And we're going to connect with chaparral, which is a plant native to land close to where I live. It's not right where I live, but it's very close by, and it's a very well-established plant within, this area. It's also very you'll see for yourself perhaps the energy. So you might have to take a little pause here and look up an image of a chaparral flower and just quick kind of look that up for yourself. And don't get distracted by the trail the internet can lead you on. Just getting the flower so you can have that clear. And once you see that flower, you have the clear image in, your mind's eye and your clairvoyance, you can see it, see what they look like. You can just imagine the image of that flower, which is essentially a way of connecting spirit to spirit with this plant in your crown chakra above your head. So it's just kind of setting the energy in your crown. And this is a way that this is one way of connecting spirit to spirit with plant medicine, getting into communication, getting into spiritual communication through the seventh chakra above the head. And you can first here tune into any shifts in your body. Any shifts in your awareness, emotions, anything that's coming up, drawing your attention. And if there's anything chaparral is showing you that could become sand, you can allow that to release. Allow that sand to let go, fall down your grounding. And you imagine that the spirit of chaparral is, right out in front of you, and you can say hello to them. You're connecting with them spiritually, you can say hello. Just as you would, anyone you're talking to, just saying hello to them as spirit. See if you get a hello back. Maybe you're feeling things in your body, or maybe you're seeing things through your clairvoyance, your third eye. There's no rules right now, or really ever, for what you should or shouldn't be seeing or experiencing. You're just allow yourself to be with that. And that's a wonderful place to be, so validated. You can notice if there's, any color or form. You can begin to be curious about this medicine. Ask if it's a good medicine for you to work with in present time. And anything else that comes up, just allow yourself to have that and let it fall down your grounding cord. Any, kind of messages for you. You can just take in whatever it is that you as spirit were kind of seeking to gain or know from this connection. Whatever communication to your body you were seeking to create. Just allow yourself to have that, even if you can't intellectually put your finger on what exactly it is. That's all right. We're taking steps. You're welcome to stay here, hang out with chaparral for a bit if this experience is, something you want to dive deeper into. And if you are feeling complete, ready to move on and join us for this exciting conversation, you can imagine now that instead of the chaparral flower, you have gold, just gold energy, neutral gold energy vibrating in your crown chakra. And you can say thank you, extend your gratitude to chaparral, however you would like, whatever's fitting for you in your practice. And we'll call back our energy now. So whenever we have a healing, it's really great to call our energy back to our body. And this helps us to maintain the step that we took as spirit. So you can imagine that you can call your energy back as a golden sun above your head, and that you're a magnet for your energy. Only your energy comes back when you call it. You can watch it fill up and let it be rather generous, pretty big. You don't have to just have a tiny little sun. It can be a big amount of your energy. We can, we tend to leave our energy in all sorts of places. So just have it, great to have it in your body. It feels good in our body. We each have our own unique type of energy that fits in our body. And allow that sun to become really full. Once it's full, you can imagine it coming in through the top of your head, and just however your energy flows into your body, just allow your energy to do that. Whether it's like honey or a waterfall or a cloud, just enjoy your energy in your body. You can notice if you feel any changes, any shifts. Have it go all the way around you too, all the way around your body. You can even call back another one. There's no limit to how many golden suns of your energy you can receive. And once you're full, you can bend over and touch your toes and stretch and kind of wake up. Wake up from the trance state. And join us for what we're really excited to talk about.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, Natalie.
I'm going to pull you back up because I have a picture of chaparral up here.
Cool.
Oop, there you are. Cool. I'm curious why you chose chaparral for today. Was it just speaking to you, or?
Yeah, I took a shower with chaparral this morning. And yes, chaparral had I've been just developing more of a relationship with chaparral, and so for me this is a fairly bossy plant, but not in like a bad way at all. It just really is it's a strong presence, and it establishes who it is. You know, it it's not shy about its presence. And I've been working with it in a number of the classes, and with my students, and it's been really amazing to see, what comes up, and learning from these lenses where we're looking at how it's been used as medicine throughout time on this planet, and what's, some of what people have seen there, as well as uh, just who this plant is as a spirit. And the energy that this plant holds has really been amazing for me, um, just in this time of life where things are really wild in our world, and there's a lot of there's just a lot going on. There's a lot of energy flying around, and we have to be able to have our centers, find ourselves amidst the chaos, right? And so chaparral, you think about what this plant is used for. If you kind of know a little bit about this plant already,
I don't
it's
know anything about it.
okay, cool. So it's used for infections, for drawing out like real, you know, it's used for intense infections, like things that could potentially really hurt you. um, and I was just kind of looking at that on a spiritual level, and removing energy from our space that really just doesn't belong there. And I see that on some level, all plants do this, right? But they all just have a different way of getting at it. They'll have a different type of energy that they help us kind of release so that our energy can flow. And chaparral is was just speaking to me this morning, and it had a lot for me. There was a lot of emotional stuff that was coming up, and you know deep things that it was helping with releasing, and um yeah, it was just the right fit.
Cool. I want to share what came up then. For one, that's cool. It helped me kind of see a new perspective on something that I thought had to belong to me, but doesn't. It doesn't belong to anyone. And I was like, oh, what a relief. I can take off that burden. And then I also saw like the very first like at my crown, like almost like as if all these like beams of light were coming up out of the top, but then it transformed to like the earth and like beams of light coming up, almost like when you see animations of the Ring of Fire of the Pacific coast and down and around into Japan and everything, and like you see animations of it and it's like glowing. It kind of looked like that from the earth, but like these almost like Hollywood spotlights coming up, and made like a big heart shape. And then I saw a skeleton woman who was like wearing this like translucent yellow dress. You couldn't make out any details. She was just like shrouded in this translucent kind of clothing, but it wasn't really clothing. And I don't know who it was. I asked like, who is this? And I just didn't believe the answer I got. I was like, your ancestors. I was like, no, it doesn't feel like my ancestors. It feels like ancestors of a land or something. And then, which I guess are in some way my ancestors in some, we're all connected, but and then I saw a little like a lizard with a mouthful of sticks, but he was like, I don't want these sticks, and like spit them out, and like waited, like some more sticks got in his mouth. He's like, no, I don't want these sticks. Now, even though he had like a lot of sticks, he didn't want those sticks, and he was waiting for like the like juicy cactus flower or something. Um and then I saw a doctor with a stethoscope on a heart. So that's what I saw.
Cool. That's a
Yeah.
lot. I love it. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, Natalie. It's so
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's interesting too, like the heart aspect, the
Hmm.
stethoscope on the heart, and then seeing a heart shape of that
Yeah.
light on the earth, and wondering like what's got like. I mean, the
There's a
heart is
connection there.
everything, but
Yeah. Yeah. And um, I really I'm enjoying what you showed because I've seen similar, not exactly what you saw, but I have had similar, things come up with chaparral and um like I haven't quite seen the skeleton woman, but I have seen a woman actually, smoking all these bodies that were dead around
Wow.
her with
Wow.
with the plant. And um so there's some parallel there, and the connection just with the heart, and for me the emotions and everything that's coming up to, the heart isn't quite our emotional center, but and this plant, I think, can the plants all offer a huge sense of connection, but this plant is particularly a well-established plant on, the land that it's a desert dweller. It's a very well-established plant in the deserts, and there is just this sense right now of really needing to listen to the earth and to have a really like a heart-centered connection right now.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
yeah.
I feel that. I
Mhm.
want to invite anyone who's listening to share, like, hop on Instagram and either type it out or like record a video and share what came up for you and tag us at Earthspeak. And then what's your Instagram these days?
Flow her frequency.
FLOWHER frequency.
Yes. Flow. It's like flower frequency,
But flow her.
but flow
Hmm.
her frequency. Yeah.
Totally. I would love to hear what came up for people. Hmm.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I would too.
Cool. Well, thanks for that. And thanks, Chaparral, and all those interesting energies.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. And, we've had you on the show before, so people can go learn about, I ask everyone about their ancestors and stuff, and they can go listen to that to learn about who your ancestors are and all those things. I guess since we're talking about chaparral, do you want to name where you live and who are the indigenous people of that land?
Yeah, so I live in Santa Monica, which is in California, and the Tongva are the tribe that's indigenous to this land.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Mhm.
All right. Now let's jump in. I mean, we're already swimming deep, but
We already we already got into it, but yes, go deeper.
so something I was really wanting to talk about is our creative agency and how do our psychic skills and our visioning skills play into our creative agency? And like, what does it mean to you?
Yeah. How do our psychics this is like
Just like what you think about at
my
night or
whole
like
philosophy of life. Okay. How do our psychic skills and our uh how does this play into our creative agency? So, we all just had this experience of connecting to a plant that brought up some energy for us, right? And even before we connected to the plant, we were able to release some energy. And so the plants help us find different things, right? They help us get at different places, different pieces of energy that uh, perhaps we wouldn't have realized were there, or perhaps we would have hidden from for a longer time, um, had the plant not showed us something that was going on, something that a place where the energy just wasn't flowing. And so there are a number of ways to get at energy, to release stuff from our body. When we connect spirit to spirit with the plants, they basically, you know, they're going to light up different things. And that's kind of what we did with the sand. We allowed the chaparral to light up different energy in our body and let that become sand. And so when we let foreign energy go, when we let foreign energy release, there's more room for our vibration. And like I said, we each have our own unique fuel that runs in our body. And the more our body is filled with our own fuel and the more we're connected as a body and spirit together, the easier we run off of this fuel, the easier we create with our body. So our body is our tool. It's our manifesting tool. I don't use the word manifest a lot because I think it has like a lot of energy. I like the creative. I like the word creative. You know, creative flow. I like that.
This is a tightrope I walk as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a number of reasons that I choose that. So our body is our vessel for creating, and we are spirits. We have bodies. So the more our spirit is connected to our body, we're going to have better use of our body, right? You can kind of that's a pretty clear thing. If your spirit's in your body, you're going to be able to use it better to create. And as we create, all of these different things that don't belong in our body are going to start to get on out. and, and
What are these different things? Like, where did they come from? Or why are they here? It's like
or
I feel
why are
like,
they here, right?
but mom, why?
The great question of life. Wow. So what are these different things? They're I don't know if there's an end to that list. It goes on. There's so many different things. There can be spirits that are foreign to our body. There can be, we can hold a spirit in our space, and we there can be energy that gets thrown at us. So I call it a whack. Someone, we light something up in someone, and they can throw some energy at us that prevents flow in our space. A lot of the times it happens on an unconscious level. It's not like someone just sits there throwing energy at you usually. I mean, that can happen too, of course, but a lot of the times it's on an unconscious level. Other people's fear. So we have our own fear. There's also other people's fear. That we can have other people's emotions in our body. We can have you can take on the emotion. Like as a child, you can take on, say your mom was going through something really challenging, really hard when you were a child. Maybe you took on a lot of that into your space, and that you can see how that would result. Like if you know a little bit about how we develop as children and how we kind of learn about the world. If we take on something really heavy as a child, um, and we never get to move through it or release it or recognize that it wasn't ours to take on, that can really affect us moving forward in life, right?
I mean, that's like the whole reason I'm in therapy every week. Even with all my psychic tools.
And not just
Mhm.
you. And
Yeah.
I think that therapy and psychic tools actually go really well hand in hand.
Oh
I
my
know.
gosh. My therapist says I'm really good at therapy. She's like, this comes so naturally. I'm like, yeah, because I fucking practice my energetic skills and self-awareness and mindfulness.
Right, right. Yeah. I think they go really well hand in hand, because in therapy you get to talk about and bring up a lot of the emotions and a lot of the energy and a lot of what's going on, and our thoughts basically are, um, that's our our brain is sort of the interface between our body and spirit. That's where we get to learn about what it is that our energetic space holds. And so when you're in therapy, you get to start to come out with all of the different things that my energetic space is still holding for whatever reason. And then in your energetic practice, in your psychic practice, you get to start to release a lot of that stuff. And as you know, that it's like the plants can help you do it. You can also do it just on your own. Um, there's there's not one way. There's not one way that is the right way. That's the only way it can be done. It happens so many different ways. I mean, exercising, we release a lot of energy when we exercise. We release a lot of energy when we go in water. When we, just in a shower or in the ocean, a lake, like that's a big healing experience for us. It draws out a lot. Um, what we just did with the grounding exercise, releasing the sand. I mean, if you whether or not you really felt something in that, something happened. There was a shift. You released some energy. And, I in the classes I teach, I layer on more tools, but there are a lot of ways to release energy. I mean, there's not one way to do it. So, um, and then where am I going with this? How does this connect with our creative agency, right? So our body becomes our better tool for creating and manifesting. Anyway, that word has a lot of energy. So our bodies are that creative tool. The better we can use it, the more easily we can create. And when we're going to also, as we create, come upon more and more levels of energy that we were unconscious to previous, right? Because it was latent in our space. And basically, whatever step we took, it was too scary to take that step before because we weren't, maybe we weren't ready to confront whatever energy we're going to have to confront once we move through it. And so you go there. So you take that step, and then it's like, this big thing for you to come to that new level. But then you also hit this new energy that is going to be unpleasant, perhaps, or may feel unpleasant at times as it's leaving. And that's not a rule. It's not always going to feel unpleasant, but the, being on this spiritual path, and they're like, we were talking about this a little bit, as a warm up before. Being on the spiritual path isn't all like this heart rainbow, like flow experience. Like I'm just ascending right now into this 5D reality. It's like this, this is at times it has at times for me been excruciating because I've come upon some real challenging energy, whether that was fear or invalidation, making separations from a being that really had no business in my space in the first place, but was from some past life with some crazy agreement anyway. Whatever it is that we come upon, or facing all the different things, stuff with money or relationships. Like relationships are crazy intense to to maintain and move through, and as we grow, our relationships change. So when we have tools and when we're more connected to our body, we can more easily take those steps that we were so afraid of. And when we have a meditation practice or some practice where we can release a lot of energy, whether that is connecting with plants to allow the plants to show you something and let that go, we can more easily accelerate our growth and have it and set the energy for it more and more the way we would like. So
Like be more intentional.
yeah, be
Mm-hmm.
more intentional with how, you're setting the energy for your growth experience, whether how you want that to be, whether you want it to be joyful and easy. And over time we get better at creating it as a joyful and easy experience. And oftentimes in the beginning, it's uncomfortable. And I still go through uncomfortable times. I don't think I'm done. I don't think I've checked. I don't think I've finished. I don't think there is an end. But what I've noticed over time is that the lows get higher. Does that make sense? Like the dips
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they're not as far down.
You don't spiral down them and get sucked in.
And you don't spend as much time going down. It used to be for me a much longer time in the down. Like it could be months that I would be stuck on some energy and have no idea that it was just energy that I was stuck on. And now I can get it down to a much shorter amount of time. And yeah, does that answer the question?
I think that's an answer. I like it, and I think hearing you talk about it, just coming from my own experience of like psychic skills and creative agency and clearing foreign energies and everything. It's like we're always creating. Like we're inherently creative beings. We are interfaced, we're connected to everything, all existence, and our conscious awareness is like and our unconscious as well. Our whole energetic being really is this in conversation with the creative force of the universe. And then like so we're always creating, whether it's conscious or unconscious, of what we're creating in our experiences. And I find for me, like tapping into my psychic skills and developing my clairvoyance and developing my energetic sensitivity and learning the language of energy and learning these skills and doing these like clearings, like you're saying, and clearing these foreign energies really did bring for me higher lows, not getting sucked in to the lows and the spirals and the whirlpools. And it also helped me get like virtually eliminated resistance. Like I used to, I'm someone who grew up exhausted. I'm in human design, I'm a reflector. So we're just, first of all, not made for this world. And well, I guess I shouldn't say that. I should say like our society, we're not made for this society. We're totally made for this world. But second of all, I just had so much trauma as a child and so much like overwhelm. So my whole life I was just so exhausted. I mean, my nicknames were like Slug and Sloth from my parents. I'm like, how? Like, looking back, I'm now like, embrace Slug and Sloth. I'm like, yes, bring it. Bring Slug and Sloth. But it was a problem then that needed to be, quote, fixed. And I'm saying, quote, problem, quote, fixed. But it was because I wasn't living true to my energy and true to my flow. And all these psychic skills helped me clear out the foreign energies and the beliefs and everything like that kept me locked into this paradigm of how I was supposed to be, and instead helped me embrace what actually wants to flow from me. And that, like, now, I was thinking about it this morning, even of like, I am not someone who, quote, exercises, but I do move my body. And it's because I'm not exercising to go like lose weight or to burn a certain number of calories. I'm not like pushing myself to do that. If I tried to do that, I wouldn't. Let me tell you, I would hit a wall of resistance faster than you can even say resistance. I'd be like, so, but the thing is through all being clear and in my body and in my energy, I can tell and I know that my body wants to move, and my mind and my senses are stimulated by walking, and I love it. And it's like, I just find myself doing it. And I'm like, I find myself putting on my shoes and my clothes and leashing up my dog and going on a nice sweaty walk. And I love it. It's like, it's because I'm in the flow of what wants to come through. So I don't know, how does this relate to like you and your life? And what was your experience of life before tapping into these skills and clearing these energies? And one, you gave one example of like, the lows are higher now. Like how else would you characterize kind of life before and life now that you've been using these tools?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that question. Thanks, Natalie. And also thank you for sharing your experience. And I think a lot of us have that kind of like before and after. So I I've always been very sensitive, which I'm sure sounds like you identify with that.
Probably everyone listening too.
Probably everyone listening too. So I grew up as a very sensitive child, very sensitive and strong-willed.
And now you have a sensitive, strong-willed daughter, don't you?
Very sensitive and very strong-willed daughter.
I love it.
Who I love. And I'm getting a taste of what it was like to be a parent to me. which is
But
really
like, who better to raise Coral than you?
Yeah, I'm like, okay, when she's having like a meltdown or a tantrum over something, I just relate. I just remember I'm moving through, I'm just talking about what's coming up. I'm moving through actually a lot of things that for me as a child were traumatic in raising her, because I'm remembering these times when I would like lose my shit, and it was my way of communicating my boundaries and saying like, this is my space. Like, hey, like everyone, get away from my space. This is my energy, and like, don't please don't go past this place. Anyway, so I'm moving through a lot of that, just becoming a parent. I'm like, wow, I'm getting to move through all of this childhood energy that I didn't get to move through. And um, anyway, so before I had these tools, one of the things that I do often share with people, and I did a lot of calls with people after the last episode of the podcast that I was on. I talked to a lot of people, and one of the main questions that people asked me was, "How did you get to be doing this? Like, why this is such a peculiar thing? Like what is it that got you into this?" And so one of the main stories that came up for me was, so I grew up in the city. I grew up in a place where there's a lot of energy, and I didn't know how to manage any of it. It was really overwhelming for me. Um, and just didn't really understand what was going on. I just went totally into my lower chakras because I couldn't handle seeing and, all this stuff. Um, and every year we would go away. We would go up to Big Sur to have we would take 2 to 3 weeks to just camp as a family.
Wow.
Um, yeah, which was amazing. And like there were 4 kids in my family. Like I'm thinking about my parents, and I'm like, that sounds crazy. But it was also like it was probably also like such a relief. Like when we take we live in the city now, and we're actually this year we'll probably move. We're creating that right now. We're looking at where we're going to go. Um, our next step.
I saw it on your gram on your little year planning and a little picture of the house with the trees. And I was like, oh, she's going to move to the
Yeah,
countryside.
we're moving. I'm really excited, and it's a big step. We're moving. It's also moving away from my parents and my family, who I love dearly, and they support us a lot and have supported us with Coral. So it's a big step. Um, so anyway, we'd go on these trips. We'd go up to Big Sur, and I would reliably get really, really sick on every
Wow.
trip, like incredibly sick. And so I was just purging the energy of the city. I just was purging all of the foreign stuff that was in my body that I didn't know how to release. But when I was in nature, my body would kind of come back to that natural information of how to heal itself, Like me, I as a spirit kind of know how to do that, and nature really helps us do that. The flow of nature, the sacred geometry within nature kind of all draws that out of us and recycles the energy.
I find that too. I find like when I go into nature, my body just like resonates differently. And it's like all that man made and matrix energy field just kind of like shifts, drops away. It's
Shift drops
awesome.
away, and I would it would be a big healing. It would be a week long. I would sleep for, you know, 3+ hours a day, at a time where I wasn't taking naps anymore. I was like 10 or something, 6 to 10. I was older, not taking naps. Take really huge naps during the day, sleep all through the night. And I just remember, like, those are some of my greatest. I remember feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm free, like being able to really breathe, and it was a pattern. Every year we would go, I would get really sick, I'd release all this stuff, and it would come back to the same cycle. um
Would you have a time after, like, would you have a week or so of being just clear and no longer releasing, or was it like the whole trip?
yeah, and then I'd have a week of being clear, and yeah. But the naps I would pretty much do the whole time, I think. But I would stay sick for like 5 to 7 days. That's what I remember. um and and then I'd have a time where I was pretty clear on the trip. Um and and I just remember that, and I didn't, totally have the vocabulary or the description for what was going on then. Um and then as I grew into my adulthood, or not even into my adulthood, but like I developed really intense skin issues, which were a result probably a lot of the food that I was eating. Um, food high in like not like glyphosate, not good stuff for my body or really anyone's body. Um, a lot of processed dairy, like things that weren't good. So anyway, I developed really intense chronic skin issues. On top of just, having this sensitive disposition, some of us have more of a propensity to develop things like that. Some people like,
Raising my hand.
right, yeah. Some people go through life and they're like, maybe they get like 2 pimples their whole life. I'm like, great for you. That sounds nice. Like, um, and and you can still be sensitive and not have skin issues, but the skin is just a pathway of elimination. It's just our body trying to kick more energy out of it. And like as you said, like where does this foreign energy come from? Well, it comes from a million different places and come through physical form, through the food we eat, through whatever we put into our body. That's one of the pathways can come. So many different pathways. That's one of them. Food that our body doesn't like. And then I also have scoliosis, and so I had a lot of chronic pain. Like when I was like 13 years old, like really intense pain up until my mid 20s. Pretty much like it, and it would get worse and worse. And this is funny. I haven't shared this like on a really public platform. So I have an engineering degree. That's my background in college. I went to engineering school. And that led me to my breaking point, my real breaking point, of realizing I couldn't take it anymore. Couldn't handle life in that way. And I knew with engineering, I was searching for like the truth through like for like you know what is real, like what's going on here, because as a child I thought I was psychic, and I kept it to myself. And I remember just thinking like, oh, I'm psychic, but there wasn't really the space for that growing up. um I have wonderful parents who really, but the psychic thing, that was just not part of their perception of the world, and now it kind of is, which is cool. So um I was searching for the greater truth, and I completed engineering school. Part of that being, just my strong-willed being of who I am, was that I completed it and I did really well. And because I was so strong-willed, I'm going to finish it. and it did lead me to like where I am now, because I came to a point where my skin was completely intolerable. Like couldn't it was I was completely covered, my face entirely covered. Um
With like acne or eczema
yeah,
or okay.
acne. I couldn't It hurt
Mm-hmm.
to smile.
Oh,
Um
I've been there. That sucks.
yeah, it was so hard. Um I hit my breaking point, and that's when I found plants. And that's when I found this alternative way of healing. And I think a lot of the times, a lot of people who find herbal medicine and energetic healing have reach a point where like nothing else is working. Like I will like you nothing that the doctor said would work has worked for me right now. And um this isn't to say like all like I think a lot of doctors have really amazing intentions and want to help people. And um I think that I have met a lot of doctors who are really amazing in their practice and bringing in um, different, this more holistic way of approaching healing, and that's really amazing to see and to know. But anyway, I just decided to take my health completely into my own hands. At the beginning, with a little help from a naturopathic doctor. and then kind of realized it's like, oh, I can just do this by myself, I can make these decisions for myself. I don't have to rely on another person to help me make them. Um, and that's when things really started to shift and change. And plants and the information about herbs just like it clicked and sunk into my knowingness. Like I think I've heard this from a lot of people when they begin learning about herbal medicine. It's just like, oh, this just like makes sense. Like I don't like it's not the same like textbook kind of study. It's a much more intuitive understanding, um, and information that comes to us much differently. And I think because so many of us who find it, I mean, and pretty much everyone, like, this is the original medicine. This is like it's really amazing stuff. There's a lot within herbal medicine. And we do have our past lives where we have that's been our healing. And so it it sinks in, and it's we remember it in a sense, right? We remember um, who these plants are, and um, that they really are beings, they're sentient beings, and that we can communicate with them, and that they're responsive and intelligent, and they can hear us, and um, you know, gosh, how like just noticing and seeing how much they perceive and pick up on within us is really incredible. Um, and so after getting into all of the herbal stuff, that's when I found the psychic work, and that's when um, I started kind of delving into how to pair these together. Because once I found the psychic work, um, just taking like some herbal medicine teas and tinctures and, like powders and stuff like that, that really helped. But then when I be when I layered on the psychic level with it, that was when I was like, oh my God, because I still had a lot of stuff going on with pain, physical pain in my body, as well as just coming to ruts of like long-term depression, um, and just loneliness, isolation, not knowing what or how I was ever going to like be a person in the world. Like I think that a lot of people come up with that of like, oh my God, how am I like, how do I live in this world? Like this world, like where is my home here? Where is my community here? Like I feel like, a lot of the people in my class are really grateful to find a community of other people who see and think like them, because um when you just tell like the normal average person walking down the street like what you're into, they're like, oh, you must be crazy or something. Like
Right,
it's
right. Or they just don't get it at
or they
all.
just don't get it,
Mhm.
and they're like,
That's
okay,
nice.
that's nice. Like, so the whole question of like, how am I going to be a person in this world? Which I know I've kind
Oh,
of like
yeah.
read some
That's
of your story, like how
mhm.
we've gone through this. How am I even going to be a person in this world? Where is there space for me? And through this practice of the psychic work, um, we've both created that, right?
Totally.
We've both created that on a level that um, supports us, and that we can continue growing and taking steps, um and when you weaving the plants and the psychic work together, I mean they just go together, right? Like they just go hand in hand, because the plants are beings, they're sentient beings, um they're entities, and we are too, and so we can be in communication with one another. And so my life before coming to all these tools in my life now, it's like what I have done, the things that are serious. They are things that I think went into the miracle or impossible category, which anyway, however you want to see that, they were things that had so much energy on them that it was like, oh, that's just not, that's just not for like me. I could never do that.
Like what?
Well, yeah. So one thing in particular, which has been a really amazing thing, is meeting my husband, meeting my partner, having a connection with another person on this level where, I mean, so I created this in herb school. I left one relationship. It was an eclipse. I was like, oh, this is not for me. This is not my path. I dropped it. And I just created my relationship with my current partner. And got really detailed and really knew it, and kind of used so much, not like a lot of my psychic tools and knowingness of how to create, but that just layered in with like what, how, like I knew it in my body. I knew it in all parts of my body. It was just this aligned creation.
And I'm hearing that it wasn't just coming from your mind and what you thought you should want. It was like, what does your body and your soul want?
Yeah, it was a totally like, okay, I'm creating a spiritually aligned relationship because I like a partner who has the same visions for their path, who's also looking for me, who who is working with energy in the way that I am, who has their own psychic way in the world. And then 2 months later, he was just right there. I went to a party, and my dog sat right in front of him, and we basically met eyes, and within a minute, I think we both knew that that was just, it was probably even less, it might have been less than
You're
a
like, this
minute.
is it.
It was just like, this is it. And we had both, I created a relationship with someone who was creating a relationship with me.
Like before you even knew each other, you were
Before we even knew each other,
energetically laying it out. Mm-hmm.
He was creating a relationship with a healer, with me. He had like me as the vision, and I had him as my vision, and we set the relationship space in a certain energy that we were ready for that commitment too. We both had set that, and so they just matched, and it was just this really easy thing that came together. And previous to that, went in the like, I don't even know if I'll ever find anyone. Like, I don't know if that could happen for me. Like, it went into like, who knows if that would happen, or like, what kind of chance would that be for my life?
That's so beautiful. I love just the mystery of how what we're calling to is calling to us as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that just blows my mind like every time. Like,
yeah, being part of this web or chain, however you want to see it, like you send something off, and you really have to let it go. Like, Alec came back to me when I really had let it go.
Like surrendered your clinginess and neediness and attachment.
Like, I kind of forgot, and I didn't expect it right in that moment. I knew it was coming, but anyway, I had really let go, and it came back for him too when he really let go, which is a big portion of this. Is like, can you really let go? Can you trust? Can you just not hold on to it? He was on a festival tour. He's an artist, and he had got to the end of his trip, and it was basically, he was in the last like week or two of this months of traveling.
Wow.
And he was just like, oh, this, I thought I was going to meet her, but I guess
Whatever.
not. Whatever. But for whatever reason, really felt like he had to go to this party. He just absolutely had to be there. And I had kind of just been like, okay, like I know I felt really strongly about it, but I'll just let it go. Like, I don't know, I just I didn't hold on to it. We were both at this place where we had stopped holding on to.
So were you kind of holding on to it for a while, like after you had kind of templated this energy and articulated it? And did you feel kind of like, ooh, I wonder if that's him or if that's it? Or like, were you thinking about it? And then it kind of just like, you kind of like burned it all, like
Yeah.
burned through that energy.
Yeah. Totally. Um, that it definitely, those sorts of things like, oh, I wonder if, and, you know, if someone's not setting that same space, then it's not them. Um, but yes, very much. I kind of did hold on to it a little bit because I was so excited and I just knew so much that it was coming. And it was, but I had to take the next step and really letting it go. Because when you let it go, then the universe can actually create it for you, right? It's funny because I even such with like I think I told you this. I sort of manifested being on your podcast this for.
And we called you in. You are like literally what we want. You're like our template of like who we want to work with.
Which I love. Thank you. And I love working with you guys so much. It's like amazing. Um
Thanks. We
but
love working with you.
I had this whole thing I put together with the plans and all these tools and weaving it all together, and my students were like loving the classes and just like, oh my god, like this is amazing. And they were really it was a small number that I was able to share with because I was growing it organically through my Instagram, just like the first class I ever taught was like I pretty much knew everyone already going into it, which is how you have to start. That's not have to, but
It's a great place.
it's a
Mhm.
great place to start. And I taught, a few rounds after that. And I remember having thought, I was like, I'm ready for like someone with a big following and who can really share this work with a bigger audience or help me share this work with a bigger audience to like find me and we can connect and sort of like, work together in this way. Um, and then I forgot about it. Of course, I like set that up, and I remember I have a few memories of like kind of thinking about how that energy would be. And I set it at this really easy vibration. The energy we create in is the energy we receive in. So when we are in kind of this easy place, we get to receive in that same easy energy. Or, when I was creating my relationship with Alec, I felt such this love vibration. And so then when I met him, I got to feel that love energy, that was, it made it so much more magical and for both of us, because we both created it with that energy. And so the energy we create in is the energy we receive. Um, and it's just so cool. It's just so cool when we get to see how that happens. I mean, I remember, we can create so many things. I remember saying one time, I'm really good at manifesting or creating $100 for not really doing anything. And then 15 minutes later, I walked outside, I looked on the sidewalk, there's a $100 bill.
Love it.
So the energy we create in is the energy we receive in. And as we clear out, the more we clear out our bodies, the more we release stuff that doesn't belong to us, the more we can create flow, because flow in our bodies is really when we're the one occupying them. And when the more we can create that, the more our path and the more the people we want to align with, and um, the energy that we want to call in and have around us, to sort of play with, right? That's another like upside of this is like, oh, right, life can be fun and joyful. We don't have to like work really hard and do all this like crazy
Drudgery. Mhm.
drudgery, like the drudgery of
Like,
engineering school. Oh my god, it was
right?
so
I've been
intense.
through the drudgeries too. Hmm.
Yeah, we've been through the drudgeries. We don't You don't have to stay there. It's just an energy vibration, and you can choose something else. And And I still come to the points where I'm like, God, but this is happening to me. I don't, and it's a challenge. I think I see that my students come along this challenge at different points of, why is this what's happening in my life? Like there's this challenge to this idea of like, well, what's wrong with me that this is what's happening? And I've experienced that too on a personal level. Like, what am I doing wrong? Why is this happening right now? And it's not that anyone's doing anything wrong. It's not that there's anything the matter with you or any of that. It's just energy that you as spirit are trying to release, and we can do that with our tools and with these ways of changing energy, right?
Totally. And on that, I feel like for me, and probably for you too, because of what I hear you saying, is in using these tools and connecting with nature energetically and psychically and connecting with plants, it helps us expand our inner awareness of potentials and possibilities and energies that we can choose with our intention and our attention. That's like our creative agency.
Yeah,
This is
our
like,
creative
it's
agency,
just like
totally.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, you just think of it, and you just it
It's like you vibrate it even. You're just like not even think, it's like you just it are it.
you just
Mhm.
and sometimes you don't even like it comes before you even think you need it, right? It's just like, yeah. Yeah, it's really amazing. It's really amazing to be, part of this, I don't know, woven fabric, or part of the universe, and being part of the sequence of energy that just flows and exchanges and is in communication with one another.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Totally.
Hmm.
Totally. I love it. I feel like probably some people along with us, especially the more philosophically and existential inclined, are like, yes, yes. um, well, this is all very fun. And, you and I know how to do this stuff. We're like always learning, of course, but it's also kind of like old hat. We're like, yes, we've been doing this. But for folks who are like, I might like to learn some energetic skills to clear my energy and unlock the abundant flow of my creative agency. Well, we have good news for you all. Emily's teaching a workshop with us. She's going to teach psychic herbalism skills, which you've already done. If you did the meditation at the beginning, you've already got a taste of it. And but this is going to take us much further, much deeper in creating an abundant flow with these plant spirit allies and with your clairvoyance. So, do you want to share anything about that, Emily? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to. Because I mean, obviously, Natalie, we could talk about this all day long. We could
literally.
literally talk about this all day long. When you start getting excited about your creativity and that flow, it's just like it's all you want to do, It's so much fun. So we are doing like it's an abundant plant path workshop. We're going to be literally shifting the landscape of your path moving forward, and getting to come into touch with your natural abundance frequency. So we each have, our own natural abundance frequency, our ability to create resources to thrive with, such that, the plants do as well, right? Um, comes to mind, like calendula is really has this incredible abundance vibration, right? Calendula is this flower that creates and creates and creates so much resource, so many flowers, really with not like a sunlight, lots of sunlight, and some water, and it has its own abundance frequency. It has its own specific needs for creating um, that they're beautiful flowers, right? And their beautiful flowers are their own flavor of their creativity. And we humans have, our own versions of this that are each unique. It's like there's even one calendula plant to the next, like their flowers sometimes look different. They're different colors. They're the plants are very creative. They can change. It's like, um, some plants are related to each other, and then one branches off and does something new. They're creative, and we are similar in that way. They don't all require the same resource influx. Neither do we. We need different resources to kind of grow and thrive and send our creativity out into the world. And so we're going to be discovering our own abundance vibration because they're all different. Natalie and I have different abundance vibrations. Everyone has their own unique flavor, per se, and also our own unique creativity. And so we're going to be looking at that flow of resource that comes in, as well as the outflow of creativity, and developing also a strong relationship with a plant to help us with that flow. Because as I spoke about a bit before earlier in this episode, uh, the plants basically, they all do this on some level. They all kind of kick out some specific type of energy, some foreign energy that is preventing us from flowing and feeling really healthy and creative and easy in our body, right? And so they're also creative and sentient. They can understand us. We can form deep relationships with them. So we're going to be forming, you know, that deep relationship. Um, and maybe it'll be a plant that you already know. Maybe it'll be someone that you want to get to know. Um, you're going to get to choose this, and being able to learn how to do a healing and clean out, you know, the stuff. Because as we take our steps and grow, like we said, you asked the question, okay, well, what is all this foreign stuff? Where does it come from? And so we're going to get to look at some of that and release it. And I also, sometimes when something's persistent, we do need a little bit more information about what's going on to really let it go. If there's something holding on, and other times it's like, when you take out the trash, or I like the compost analogy. When you take out the compost, you don't check and be like, should I save this banana peel? Like, no, no, absolutely not. Like, we don't have that thought. So it's kind of like we're just taking this energy out. We're just letting it release. And we have a method, a clear step-by-step method for doing that. That, you'll be able to access and practice moving forward for yourself. And so we'll be doing all that, and then also getting our energy flowing into, okay, what's the first step, and how we're going to create what is something that perhaps, like we talked about, went in the impossible bucket for you at some point, or that couldn't happen. What is something like that? And we're going to recognize how we can get energy to flow, and get clarity there and create it. And I like to talk about it as kind of it's like some kind of contract with the universe that could be broken, because you can always change your mind. But I call it a mock-up rather than a manifestation. It's setting the energy for what you're creating, and choosing one thing along your path, that is that's a step. It's a big step for you. And being able to recognize, your ability to create that, and also that letting it go piece. We're going to have some energetic tools for getting all of this kind of synced up, and have a really good base for how to move energy, getting in, because we are magical. That's kind of our innate nature, and we've been taught all of this limiting stuff. And we're going to touch with our magical vibration, and the magic also that we can experience when we work with plants, and when we have that support and that allyship with just an entity, a being who we're really in affinity to work with, and setting the energy and the intention that this is the plant that you can keep working with as you continue on this path. And obviously, things can change. You can always choose a new plant, but it's very special to develop those deep relationships. And so that's what we're going to be, setting the energy for diving into. And another little tidbit that we kind of touched on just before here is, I compared this to okay, I want to get rid of all my old furniture. I'm going to get rid of all the bad furniture. Well, then, so you get rid of it all, and then you don't have anything left in your house, right? You don't have a bed. Like, I'm going to get rid of I don't like my bed anymore. I don't like my couch. I don't like the kitchen table. So you get rid of all the furniture, but then you don't have anything to replace it with. So we're going to be really getting clear with that, I'm going to redecorate my home, or this is the analogy that we're talking about. I'm going to recreate my path. I'm going to recreate the energy in my space so that it flows in a way that I really love and that I really enjoy. I'm going to get really specific, and I'm going to give myself, the bed that I really want, that organic mattress with the wool fiber, and that I know I'm going to get specific with what you're creating, rather than focusing on getting rid of. Because when we come to that new frequency, we're talking about this, we come to a new frequency, a lot of energy that was part of, an old portion of our path that isn't in present time anymore, it just falls off. We don't have to manage it. We just come to a new frequency, and we get excited about what we're creating, and then all this stuff just leaves. It just goes.
Right. You don't even have to do anything with it.
You don't even have to do anything with it. So we're gonna get to that higher frequency of you, because you get to create your energy. You get to set the energy for yourself as a creative spirit, and it's a lot of fun, and it's one of our favorite things to do. That and working with the plants and doing healings and becoming more aware of our psychic nature while we're creating. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm super excited. Yeah.
I'm excited too. I'm excited. And I know we could talk about this, like I said, literally all day. Oh my gosh. But for folks who are excited too, they should come and join us. I'm not going to shit on you, but I'm going to say you're invited to come have fun, come play, come learn these tools, come co-create with nature and spirit. This is a process for literally co-creating with nature and spirit. I feel like part of the bad rap that manifesting gets is it's often so tied in with people, quote, manifesting whatever it is they think they should have according to what society says, or, like to some outer standard. But when we co-create with nature and spirit, we're connecting in. And I'm not saying that you can't like create what you actually want with manifesting, but what like the energy of co-creating is really around, okay, what is actually bubbling up and welling up from within me and my spirit, and what's aligned, and like it's like already it's becoming more of who you truly are.
Yeah.
Through these creative visions.
Yeah. Becoming more of who you truly are with these creative visions. Another portion of my work, is we're using our own information. So that's kind of why it's funny, like in the classes that I teach where we get into spiritual communication with the plants, I don't tell people what I I don't share in the class like this is what this plan is about. This is what I see this. I really love inviting like, okay, have your own information. This is exciting to discover our own information. If someone writes a book about plants, that's largely going to be their information. There might be some overlap for you, but um, it's really fun to discover our own information and to discover the validation that we can have for ourselves, the spirit, and what's really coming up for us, what's bubbling up. We're going to be utilizing really us, really who we are, and our path, um, and getting creative and allowing it to be truly for us, and releasing the shoulds, releasing the shoulds. Yes.
Totally. Love it. Well, folks, you can go sign up earthspeak.love in our shop. You'll see the workshop there. Psychic Herbalism. It's like what is the official title? Creating abundance with plant spirits. So, but beyond that, you offer a whole slew of opportunities for people to study with you and go like really deep, because this is just a one-time workshop that we're doing at Earthspeak, but you have the Psychic Herbalism Institute. Is that how you say it? Is it the Institute of Psychic Herbalism or the Psychic Herbalism Institute, or is
You
it
could
like
say it either way. I call it the Institute for Psychic Herbalism. That's
okay?
that's the official name. But people will know what you're talking about no matter either way. So
Right. How many are there in the world? One. So
there's one right now, I think. I haven't found another one. I don't think
that's
there's
great.
another one. Yeah, so I have the Institute for Psychic Herbalism. There we'll be accepting students the beginning of February for people who want to dive deeper and really get to know more plants, and then delve into creating their medicine kit, who they really love working with, who they want to because we're going to do one plant in this workshop. It's 3 hours long, which is fairly long, but a lot of my classes are 3 hours long, so it's like there we get really into things. We get to look at the plants, and so the next time we'll be accepting students is mid-February, and it's going to be really exciting the way I have everything set up. The way we're getting to look at our bodies and learning about our organs, and the plants and how they interact, and getting our own information about all this stuff. So it's not like we don't have like a textbook about this. We're getting to look at our own information and really clear out our bodies in a new way, on a new level, so we can exist there even more, like another degree more, basically. And we get to start out with that and use all the tools and clear, like it's a big clearing. It's a big commitment to yourself. And then you can always go on and start reading the past lives, and we within the program we work in some of the creativity aspects as well that we'll be doing in this class. So it's all there for you. And you can join my email list through my website, emilyhamilton.love, to be the first to know when we're accepting students into the program, and discover more, see if it's in alignment with you and your path and present time. This workshop is a great way to get a taste and learn a little bit about this work, and say, hey, is this for me?
That's amazing. And you have a new podcast out.
And I have a new podcast. Yeah, it's been kind of like a long time coming. I birthed it a couple months ago. I've been having a lot of fun with it, and I've been sharing new content, new episodes, and
Tell us the name.
the Psychic Herbalism podcast. It's on iTunes. You can find it you can find it on iTunes, and it's also on my website. There's a podcast tab. And I do plant readings, which are fun. So I do share a little bit about my perspective in the podcast. So that's been really fun for me. And also, if you're curious about some of the tendrils of this work, like it's all woven into, you can hear more about it on the podcast, because sometimes we hear something the first time and we need to hear it again for it to sink in, or, what I've noticed for myself is I only hear what I'm ready to hear. And then I'll hear like basically the exact same thing, and like, oh, that's what they meant,
I get that.
But I'm like, oh, that's what they meant. And so, yeah.
Cool. So many good things. So all that's, of course, listed in the show notes. You can find the links, and your Instagram's in the show notes too. We mentioned it, Flow Her Frequency, and all that goodness. I'm really excited. I'm just grateful and excited and happy to collaborate again, and just grateful you're doing this work and teaching people to such depths, because these are really the skills that we're creating the new paradigm with and birthing this new earth with. So I'm pretty stoked.
Yeah. And this is where we have to go. This is the next shift for humanity. I totally, right. Yeah. When you look at the world, I'm like, it's so crazy. It's really, I think for both of us, probably a huge, we feel empowered to be contributing something that's really helping people recognize themselves and their ability to create their lives and to be joyful on their path. And I'm really grateful for you and Shauna, and I know you've been growing your team with a lot of amazing human beings. And I've been growing my team as well, and it's been a lot of fun to have support. So anyway, I'm grateful for the space you hold, and
thank you.
To also be recognized as a participant in this space, because it's just so validating for me, and I loved it. I love doing it, and I'm so into Earth Speak and what you guys do. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, with that, let's say goodbye, and we'll see people in the workshop. Thanks so much, Emily.
Thank you, Natalie.
And thanks, listeners.
Yeah, thanks, listeners, for making it all the way to the end.
Right?
All the roads are windy.
Listen to over 200 free EarthSpeak podcast episodes on your favorite podcast app, and visit earthspeak.love to learn about our collective community and workshops.